Welcome to Coach Jackson's Math. Today we're going to talk about squares and rhombi. Rhombi being plural for a rhombus. What you need to know is these are special parallelograms. A rhombus is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. Notice it does not say anything about angles, but rather just sides. So let's look down below. In addition to all the properties of a parallelogram, a rhombus has two additional properties. Okay, well, let's look at it. Opposite sides are parallel. That's one of our conditions of a parallelogram. Opposite sides congruent. That's part of a parallelogram. Opposite angles congruent. That's part of the parallelogram. Consecutive angles supplementary. That's a part of our parallelogram properties. Diagonals bisecting each other. That is also a part of our parallelogram properties. Now, here's where things change a little bit. All four sides are congruent. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the changes. Now I know that all four sides are congruent. It used to be that opposite sides were congruent. Now all four are. So this is new. Number 7, diagonals are perpendicular. What that means is that these now meet at 90-degree angles. So that's a new piece for us. And diagonals bisect opposite angles. What that means is these two angles here are congruent, as well as these two angles here would be congruent. Notice I marked them the same because as opposite angles are congruent, and then the pieces bisected means cut exactly in half, must also be congruent. So I'm going to go ahead and put two arc marks over here to show that these four angles individually are congruent. Therefore, the larger angle put together, those pieces would be congruent as well. So let's look on down at example number 1. Find the measure of RST. Or excuse me, if the measure of RST is 67 degrees, find the measure of RSW. Well, we know that it is a bisector, so I can say that 67 divided by 2 is 33.5 degrees, and that would be RSW, half of that angle. Looking down at example number 2, find the measure of angle SVT if STV, this whole angle here is 135 degrees. The whole angle is 135 degrees. We're now going to talk about SVT. Well, I know that RVT and STV are consecutive angles. So I'm going to say 180 minus 135, which leaves me with 45 degrees. This angle here would have to be 45 degrees. Now the question that you got to see is they ask for SVT, not the 45, but half of it. 45 divided by 2 would give you 22.5 degrees. And that would be the measure of angle SVT. Flip it on, looking at example number 3, talking about our rhombi. If the measure of angle SWT is 2x plus 8, find x. Well, we know that diagonals are perpendicular, which means it's a 90-degree angle, so I'd say 2x plus 8 equals 90, or 2x is 82, or x is 41. Because it is a rhombus, we were able to do that. Looking at example number 4. What is the value of x if the measure of WRV is 5x plus 5, and the measure of WRS is 7x minus 19? Now, diagonal bisects the angle, which means that the two pieces must be congruent. 7x minus 19 equals 5x plus 5. So doing my math here, going to cancel my pieces out that I can cancel out. Change things over the equal sign, say 2x equals 24, or in this case, x would be 12. Looking at example number 5. In rhombus, DLMP, DM is 24. Measure of angle LDO is 43. And DL is 13. I'm going to wait on writing the DM in there for just a minute. Actually, I'll go ahead and do it for you. We know that that is 24. So looking at our first piece, OM. Well, if DM is 24, OM would be half of 24, which is 12. The measure of angle DOL is always going to be 90 degrees. The measure of angle DLO, well, if I've got 90 and I've got 43, that means I know about 133 degrees of my angle, so 180 minus 133 gives me 47. And then looking at DML, well, we know that they're opposite angles, and therefore we know that they are congruent. So those two angles must be congruent. And then DP, we know that all sides of a rhombus are congruent. So if DL is 13, DP would also have to be 13. And that is our topic, talking about rhombi today. We'll go ahead and continue this up next with some squares. This has been Coach Eichner's Math. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.